Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. This is Roy Kessel with Sports Philanthropy Network, and we're very excited to have with us a longtime special friend, Dave Meltzer. Dave, thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I know how crazy it gets for you here on Radio Row.
Are you kidding me? They could not stop me from seeing you and being a part of your network. We have done this for such a long time. You've impacted millions of people and have supported in so many different programs and causes. I just wanted to come by and say, number one, thank you so much for everything you do, and two, always allowing me to participate.
Well, you've been with us right from the start. I remember at when we launched at Super Bowl in Atlanta in 2019, and you were there. We're at that great house with the Champions for Philanthropy
Yeah.
event, and you got involved with Sports Philanthropy World and our organization right from the beginning. And so this is something that's always been close to your heart. We appreciate your support. You include us in so many different ways. So tell us about some of the things you're doing now.
I'm always a book guy, and being chairman of Napoleon Hill Institute, I went back to history to learn human nature, and it reminded me of a 75-year-old book uh, that has to do with the biggest issue in philanthropy, which is mental health. It's impacting every athlete, it's impacting every executive, it's impacting all of our children, and understanding that there is a science. And I really wanted to bring up the questions of what are we doing now about mental health? And I went backwards to go forward and found, one of my favorite books, 20 million copies of L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics, which is the science of modern day mental health. And really understanding human nature as well as the human experience and how mental health actually is interplaying into what is causing us today so much interference, so much disease, so much stress and anxiety.
Well, mental health is the number one thing we hear about at all levels of sports, really in all levels of the world. It doesn't matter what profession is involved, law, medicine, education, everything. Mental health is dominating because people are finally starting to realize that that's not a distinct issue from your overall health. It's a significant impact.
Yeah, it's so true. It's integrated into everything we do because it's integrated into your perception. And your perception is everything. I tell people all the time, within the context of accountability, you can't just say, what did I do to be responsible? You can't even say, like the spiritual people say, what did I do to attract this to myself? You have to actually say, what am I doing to participate in this perception? Then ask yourself, what am I supposed to learn from it? And that's why I keep going to different great references to understand what am I doing to do these things, but what am I supposed to learn from it so that I can figure out how I can go ahead and reduce the trauma, stress, and anxiety from my life.
Well, and it's really hard, right? You look around just in this room, how many lights, how much noise, how many distractions there are. It's really hard for people to stay on point and keep focused with what's going on, right? And for many people that struggle with forms of ADD, ADHD, this is a horrible environment for
Yes,
them
it
to be
is.
successful.
Yeah, you never know when a pillar is going to be coming out of the top of your booth. There's so many different things that aren't aligned with what I call our divine direction of where we want to be or better. And, it's so interesting because we can't give what we don't have. And if we are stressed, it's difficult for us to be kind. And if we're stressed, it's difficult for us to give love. And if we're full of dis-ease, it's hard for us to be at ease, to be inspired, to utilize a higher intelligence or intuition that we've been gifted with. And so, in all of the books that I not only have written, but that I read, I'm always looking for the positive influence, but I'm also looking for the data, the hard science behind it. Because, as you know, in social media, so many people can create a reality with no data, no science behind it, which is why I really got behind this book recently.
Well, you look around, right? Just from this little building here, how many thousands of posts are going out this week, every day? Millions of posts going up every day, right? And it's a kind of a alternate universe and reality of what goes on in this building compared to what's going on just a few blocks away, right? You walk down the street, you see people that are homeless living on the street, you see people that don't have food, you see people struggling with mental health issues everywhere we go. You've always had a mission to give back. So talk about some of your other books and how you like to do that.
So, it's so interesting because of the recent discovery, whether I wrote Connected to Goodness, Compassionate Capitalism, Unstoppable, Creating the Life I Love, Game Time Decision Making. And my newest book, I decided to give it a title that would sell, even though the interior of the book is still aligned with my mission of an infinite loop of giving more, being given more, receiving more, and asking for more than more. But the title of my new book is called Don't Do Business with Dicks. And it's really about removing the toxicity from your life. There's so many negative influences, as you mentioned, even here in this building, so many distractions, so many things that take our eye off of what's so important. You know, I'm an executive coach for a lot of big businesses and the executives at those businesses. And it's remarkable how many of those people will tell me that they're doing what they're doing for the sake of their health, but they're giving up their health. They're doing it for the sake of their family, and they give up their family. And so I want people to realize, with this book particularly, that we need to remove this toxicity, the interference between us and what we truly want, our divine direction.
Well, you talked about you've got to take care of yourself to be able to help others, right? Just like
And
on
give
the
what you don't
airplane,
have.
if you don't get that oxygen mask on your face, you can't help other people. And so people will do that. They'll, as you said, jeopardize their own health. They won't eat properly. They won't sleep properly. That impacts their energy and everything they do throughout the day.
Well, think about this organization. How many millions of people that you've helped? And if you weren't successful and you just gave all your time and all your money back to everybody without investing into the network, you wouldn't be able today, here since 2019, to impact millions of people. You'd still be in the hundreds. Giving away. And I really want to point out that one of the things I've learned in philanthropy is that although it's true, the more you give, the more you receive, it only applies to things that are infinite in their nature. So the more love you give, the more you receive. The more kindness that you give, the more you receive. But it's a misnomer that you give more money, you'll get it back. No, it's a man-made construct. And we confuse the most generous kind of people. They give away all their money expecting it to come back to them, or they give away all their time expecting it to come back to them. But it won't, because it's a man-made construct. So what you have to do is to understand the difference, where the more money I receive, the more I can give. The more time I receive, being efficient, effective, and statistically successful, the more time I can give. But the more kindness and love, the more you'll receive.
Well, and we're so thankful. You know, we've got our team with Jenny and Rustam that are here, been helping all week. They take an enormous burden off of me, allow me to have these conversations and interact with everybody and really make a big difference. And then that amplifies out. People like yourself that help put us in front of other people, invite us to your dinners and organizations. So, Dave, thank you so much for taking time to join us.
I also want to shout out my team, because they do so much for both of us as well. So as you shouted out, we got Nick and Mike and Colleen, who've been with me almost 15 years, and my daughter Marissa and my wife's here. So we all love you. We will do anything for you. You're always invited, not obligated. Everybody, let's join the Sports Philanthropy Network. Let's do good and do well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And for all of our viewers and listeners, thank you for joining us live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 60. This is Roy Kessel signing off for Sports Philanthropy Network. Please remember to live generously.